Hi Kevin, how are you?
Good, how about you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. So, I know that you have spent the last year being an entrepreneur and you must have a lot of stories. In this session, I'm excited to chat with you about your year and all the valuable lessons that you have collected. Could you please start by sharing a little bit about your background?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for spending the time with me today. I started my career as a mechanical engineer building hardware solutions. After spending a few years, I realized that I didn't get enough opportunities to actually engage with the users who use the product that I built. So I started looking for what I could do to make the best impact in the world. So I switched to consulting and I switched to product management. It has been a very exciting journey and I really enjoy and love doing it. However, there's one thing that I always wanted to do since I was little, that is to become an entrepreneur.
Well, speaking about entrepreneur, what is entrepreneurship exactly to you?
Entrepreneurship to me is solving a problem the way you want to do it with the opportunity to gain a lot of profit, some profit, but with the risk of losing everything.
That sounds really interesting and also scary at the same time. So, what do you think are the differences between being an entrepreneur, like you say, and working for other people?
Yeah, there's a lot of difference. I've always worked for other people since I started my career. So the biggest benefit of working for other people is the comfort of receiving a constant paycheck when you work 9 to 5. You can make a mistake, but you are not fully responsible for the outcome. You have a boss who is responsible for that. And in terms of the downside of working for other people, your work is dependent on your boss. If you happen to have a good one, then you will have a good time. But if you don't have a good one, then your life can be somewhat stressful. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you are responsible for everything. You are your own boss, and you make every decision, from the smallest one to the biggest one. What you put in is what you get out, and you have to invest a lot of time, effort, and energy, and you have to make a lot of progress in order to be successful. It's not easy, and likely you will not earn anything in the beginning, or for somewhat a few, could be for a few years, and you have to be okay with that.
Wow, that sounds like basically there's no safety net for you if anything goes wrong.
Yeah, I guess I learned it the hard way.
So, despite all of those risks, why do you want to be an entrepreneur?
I think entrepreneurs make the world better. Imagine being able to order food from the comfort of home, being able to order reliable rides to go places, and also to be able to do most of everything these days using your phone. These are just some of the handful examples of how entrepreneurs have improved quality of lives for many people around the world. And in return, many of these successful entrepreneurs have become very well off. And I want to applaud all entrepreneurs who actually have done it, not only the people who are successful, but also people who try. So thank you for trying.
Well, I will join you in saying thank you for all entrepreneurs out there, the ones who are successful, the ones who are not successful yet. Thank you for trying. So, Kevin, before going deeper into your entrepreneurship story, you mentioned about solving problems as entrepreneurs. So, what problem did you want to solve?
Yeah, I have been very passionate in solving this problem, that is to bridge the gap between customer feedback and organization. So I think one example that I believe, I guess before I go into an example, I believe that all of us as customers, we deserve to have the best experiences when we use products and services. And I understand that nothing is perfect, but when issues are not addressed, these issues can have negatives and very significant consequences to not just the experience, but also to other people and especially human lives, if you think of an industry like healthcare. So one example, I have a family member where actually the nurse at the hospital forgot to reconnect the oxygen cable from the empty bottle to the new bottle. And of course, I was chatting with the family member, and after a few minutes, we realized that the family member had difficulty breathing. And of course, we mentioned it to the nurse, but we were not sure if the feedback got escalated to the corporate and to management to avoid this kind of occurrence to happen again in the future. If it's not escalated and it's not getting addressed, the chance of other people experience the same thing would be high, and I'm afraid that it could result in someone's passing away, which is very unfortunate situation. So people at the corporate office, if they don't know about the situation, they cannot improve it. So ideally, we would give a way for people to be able to share their feedback and make sure that they feel heard and appreciated for their feedback. And I believe not only that customers will have better experience, employees also will have better experience while they're working for the organization. Most importantly, because organizations will continuously improve, they will be able to serve their employees and customers better, and they will get a much better return on their investments in the longer run.
Mm. Wow, that is a scary situations that you shared with us earlier. So but why now exactly?
Yeah, so I actually am nearing the end of my 1 year. So I guess the question may be why I decided to start 1 year ago. And I guess I never felt ready. Even though I always wanted, I was never really ready because I think three primary reasons. I think the first one, my life was very comfortable. I had a nice job. I had a comfortable life. I worked 9 to 5. So although sometimes I had to work long hours, but after I left work, I was basically carefree. I could do whatever I want, and tomorrow, of course, I go back again, and I will continue to get that constant paycheck. Do I want to forgo that? I think that's a very difficult decision to make. I guess the second one that's very important is the fear of unknowns of being an entrepreneur. Would I be able to do it? What if I fail? Would I have enough money? Would I survive? Like, how would I feed my? How would I be able to feed my family? If I have wife and children and things like that, is the fear of unknown. Number three, I guess the thought of that one day I'll be ready. Maybe when I have more experiences, or when I have more money, or when I have more connection, or when I have more this and that. And therefore, I guess I was never ready. But last year, I had the opportunity to think about this thing once more during a job transition, because I was in a spot where personally I felt like I am in a good place, and in terms of the skills and the experiences I have collected in the past few years from when I started my career, I felt that both from professional and personal, I felt like it was it's a really good time for me to start this journey. So I decided to jump into it with knowing that the risk, knowing with all the risks, and at the same time, I think through all those what ifs. I mentioned about the fear of the unknown, so I took the time to actually jot things down and answer all these unknown questions to make sure that at least I came as prepared as I could. And I think what also I did before I jump in, I decided to give myself a very concrete timeline, which was 1 year, from July 2022 to June of 2023. And the goal was to hopefully be able to come up with the root cause of why there is this gap between customer feedback and organizations. And ideally, I would already be able to build a solution for at least one client. So that was the hope. And if I succeed, I would reevaluate my timeline and potential end goal and potentially continue. But if I fail, then I would go back to working in product management, which is a field that I love. And that is basically how I started my entrepreneurship journey last year from July, and I'm nearing the end of it now, and it has been an amazing year.
I see. So basically, you calculated all the risks, you think through it, you have a plan B as well, and that's how you started this amazing journey. Now it is June 2023 already, so like you say, you're nearing the end of that period. So how did your year go? What were you able to accomplish, and what did you not have time to accomplish by now?
Yeah, so time flew by so fast, and I learned so much in the last 1 year. And I would not trade this for anything. At this highest level, I learned a lot about feedback, and it's a very complicated topic, but I'm so excited with the progress that I've made. Um, Even though I have not been able to come up with a very concrete root cause and also get to design solutions for customers, I was able to get closer. I was able to um, refine my hypothesis and do many cool things in the process. So some of the things that I got to do in the last 1 year, such as I was able to interview some business owners, and I was able to interview product managers, researchers, and also random people. I went to Boston Common. I went to interview hotel managers, and I reached out to business leaders to talk about how they listen to customers' feedback. I also did an experiment in LinkedIn where I take businesses to communicate the feedback that I experience as a user and see how they would respond to this thing. And I think lastly, I also got an opportunity to a privilege to work with 3 organizations to help them create an effective feedback loop. Um, I think I have made really good progress in understanding the root cause and why customers don't share their feedback with the organization, and it is really a very complex challenge that requires more research. So I'll be summarizing the progress that I have made and all the findings and learnings about this particular problem that I explored in the last 1 year. But I will do it in a separate exercise because I think in this session my focus is to really share about what I learned about entrepreneurship, and I want to save that discussion for some other time. And I want to share about what I learned about entrepreneurship and how it has changed my life.
I see. So Kevin, I heard that there are people who are actually, doing entrepreneurship part time. So they keep their 9 to 5 jobs and then they do entrepreneurship on the side. What do you think would be the biggest difference between part time and full time entrepreneur?
I see. I think aside from the money, the biggest difference I think comes down to the progress that one can make when they are doing it part time versus full time. So I realized that many of the opportunities that I got a chance to do in the last 1 year are kind of happening within like business hours. So if I work on a regular 9 to 5 jobs, I'm limited to what I could do outside of that and weekend. And most of these things that I got a chance to do did not really happen much on weekend, although some yes, but mostly on weekdays. So also the amount of energy and attention that we have when we work full time is already occupied by what we primarily have to do, and the remaining energy we have are the leftover one. So in terms of the full force beyond what we are doing is kind of a secondary, and if we want to make progress, which is for entrepreneurship, it's very important to really make a lot of progress fast, and the amount of challenges and roadblocks that we find is actually a lot. So if we just make one progress at a time at a very small pace, it will we will it's possible that we will make good progress, but it will take much longer time.
I guess it's also because your attention is split on multiple and different causes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, nearing the end of this 1 year period, what would you do differently next time?
Yeah, so I guess given that I also come from a product management and product development background all my career, I think it's very natural for me to gravitate towards like thinking about the end result, which is like what solutions that I want to build for my users or to solve this problem. So I guess I at some point in the beginning of my journey, I spent some time to learn how to build some prototypes and test it against myself. But doing that actually take time for me to do, and spending that much amount of time in the very early phase when things are still too premature is probably too early, and it's probably better to spend more time in refining the problem and uh, talking to users before going too deep into technical stuff, especially like I did not have a computer science background, and I think that could be a limitation. And if I try to do something I'm not an expert with, the learning curve and the return I'll get by doing something, it's not that worth it. So there has to be a balance between talking to users and building prototype. Yeah, I think that's the one thing I would probably redo to save some time, because time is essential when you work for yourself. Nobody's going to tell you that that's the wrong thing to do, because there's no boss. So you just have to know, engage, and have that kind of self realization.
Okay. Yeah. So I think like listening to you sharing about the race and about the different things that happen when you're doing this compared to when you're doing your 9 to 5 job, it must have been pretty difficult journey for about a year. So is there any um, lowest moment that you've experienced in this 1 year? Were there challenges, and if so, what are the biggest challenges of entrepreneurship based on your experience this year?
Yeah, I think financial, we don't have to discuss into much detail, because I think it's very obvious. We discuss that entrepreneurship, we will not be earning any money. I think the stress level of doing entrepreneurship, and the pressure and the frustration and the self-doubt, I think it's very very challenging. And I think the stress can come from a few things. For example, feeling that you're not making enough progress. Sometimes maybe you feel like you make progress, but then you hit another roadblock or dead end, and then you have to reorient or redirect your attention to do something else. Sometimes you keep on knocking on doors, and nothing is open. For example, when I went on interview trips to hotels in Boston, basically I came door to door, talking to people in the front line, asking for a few minutes of their time, trying to see how they are listening to customers' feedback and things like that. And most people, or like many people, don't even want to talk to you. And when I also try to interview people in Boston Common, just like regular people, like, hey, can I take a few minutes to ask you about what prevents you from sharing your feedback to businesses and things like that. Most people are also very hesitant. It looks like they don't want to spend the time and things like that, and those are very very hard. And as I make progress in my 1 year, like I look back and look at there's so many moments like that I feel like, oh, I don't know what else to do, because I have exhausted this option, I have tried this and tried that, and then I get a lot of rejection. So am I doing the right thing? But looking back, I think there's some we probably cannot see the peaks, the local peaks, many local peaks. But when now I look back for the last 1 year, I have accomplished quite a lot. And I guess the other part that's maybe not as as uh, as relaxing as working for 9 to 5 is that there is no guidance. So I think not being able to discuss with somebody who might be more experienced, I think that can be also frustrating and challenging. and I feel a lot. I feel like I hit a lot of dead ends. But through all of those, I think it has been a great learning experience.
Mm. Wow, yeah, that sounds like a definitely not an easy thing to do. It might not also be for everyone now that I hear about all of the hardships, but there must be also some rewards in doing this, some good things. So what will you say are the rewards of entrepreneurship, of deep dive into this journey?
Yeah, I guess I hope that I went further than I have, but hopefully at some point I can revisit this entrepreneurship journey again after I make more progress in my research. But in the last 1 year, I feel like entrepreneurship has made me a better person in terms of my character being sharpened, and my knowledge, my skills, uh, my personality all have been challenged and improved. I believe through this journey. I think entrepreneurship tested not only the problem that I wanted to solve, test my character, and also test my passion. And I guess what I meant by that was, I guess a few times that I was asked during this journey of like, why do you even want to solve that problem? So I realized that if if uh, if the problem is not solid, and you are challenged by not only people doubting why you're working on something, and you are faced with all of those entrepreneurial challenges that I'll talk about, and the stress and the challenges, it could very well be easy to give up on the problem. But I'm very grateful that in the last 1 year, that the problem until now, the problem is still very solid, and it's still a problem faced by all of us. I know for sure that I will continue to think about it. And also in terms of testing my so if the problem is true but my passion is not, maybe if I'm not that passionate, I could very well say like, oh, this is a very difficult problem, the problem is too difficult, then I'm just gonna forget about it and move on. But I'm glad that in the last 1 year I have persisted, that I really enjoy tackling this problem and seeing the progress I have made. It's very rewarding. And I guess about the about the character itself, so it also tested that I have a character that that I think it is to show myself that I don't give up easily, because it's really not easy, because I question myself a lot. But now that I have gone through this exercise, being able to persist through the different challenges and come out the other end, even though not with the success that I wanted, but I redefine success. It's by all the learnings and all the experience I gathered along the way. Also, I guess the other two things, maybe I got to meet a lot of new people, and I learned many new things in the last 1 year. All the things that I would not have otherwise experienced if I just work 9 to 5 for one company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've covered the biggest challenges and also the rewards. How about the lessons? What are the biggest lessons you've learned from entrepreneurship so far?
Yeah, I talk a lot about hitting dead ends. I think one thing that I learned is about always moving forward. And what I mean by that is, even something very, very not related to what you're doing, if you expose yourself to doing that one thing, whatever that is, it could very well be something totally small to you. But from doing something like that, it could give you a lot of insights. I guess one example was by just deciding to do an experiment to post things on LinkedIn, all the feedback. You can go to my LinkedIn page and kind of see so many posts I did. I committed that I will do this feedback in LinkedIn every time I find something of any products and or services, to see what happened. And then just by doing that simple thing, I learned that, oh, okay, most businesses don't even bother to reply. So that's very interesting, because many businesses say that they really care about customers, yet when customers provide them with data that something is not working, most of them don't even bother to spend the time to actually do something about it. And then from there I learned that, oh, okay, I learned how to post on LinkedIn, and then I learned how to tag. Some people actually got back to me, so I got to build some connections there. So those are some of the good things. Number two, I think being flexible. So I, on a separate occasion, I will share the learning for my feedback journey and research. But being flexible, I think, is another thing that I learned, because I shifted my focus from, I thought that the problem was that customers do not want to share their feedback to businesses, but I learned that actually the root cause is more like the business is not able to handle the feedback in the first place well, which cause customers to distrust business, and therefore customers don't want to share their feedback to businesses. So if I were to just be so rigid with my original hypothesis, then I will be deemed to failure. So being able to be flexible, I think, is really good. And also trying many different things. And in terms of, I mentioned about success. I thought that if I can, build the best solution and sell products and get a lot of money, then that would be success. But success is your own definition. And after I look at the progress I made and the new realization and understanding of the problem space that I'm trying to solve of feedback, success does not always have to be money. It could be learning, it could be moments, it could be opportunities, it could be many things. So as long as you're moving forward and you are satisfied with what you are gaining and learning, I think, especially if you become a better person, I think it is better. So the last one is, as I mentioned, that I applaud entrepreneurs who come before me, that if everybody is waiting for everybody else to do something, likely nothing will happen. But if all of us see any problem that we want to take a step at solving them, change can start from us. And I hope that from the things that I have done and the people I've met, that I have already touched some people, and hopefully that makes a little bit of dent in this world.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I wanna trace back to one of the things that you said earlier that caught my attention. You said that you actually did some cool things last year because you were in this entrepreneurship journey, and you're not like following a regular 9 to 5 hours. Can you share some of the coolest things that you got to do because of that?
Yeah, so entrepreneurship journey, I was able to make progress on my research, but other than my research, I also was able to have the flexibility to spend time with family when there were some family situations. If I were to work the 9 to 5, I would have to deal with the limited time off, and I have to ask for permission, I have to adjust for work schedule. But when this moment comes that I needed to take time off, I just basically take time off. I think that's a privilege. Also, I had the chance to work with the Red Cross and volunteer with other organizations during this time, where I had the opportunity and privilege to go and help people who were impacted by the California flooding and also tornado in Tennessee, and being able to see and help people to get back in their recovery journey was a very eye-opening moment, and it's something that I really find meaningful. And I also have the opportunity to join local volunteering team here that I really find enjoyable and meaningful for me, that I want to continue doing even after this 1 year. And I think I also have the opportunity to get certified as a long-term care state ombudsman, which is to help people with nursing in residents in nursing homes. I think that also gives a lot of enjoyment for me to be able to advocate for residents who may not be able to, or not in the best position to do it now. And I guess the last one is I also participated and help out with the distribution of used medical equipment from people who were already getting better or already not needing the equipment for underserved populations. So really a lot of interesting experience, and not to mention all the new connections I've made and all the new knowledge that I've gathered in the last 1 year.
Those are really cool things happening. So do you think it was worth it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot in these sessions, and now that you are quote unquote on the other side of trying this entrepreneurship journey, who do you think should consider doing this differently?
I think number one is if you know of someone who really are passionate about solving a particular problem, that this person might think about this problem almost every hours of their waking moment. I think there's an opportunity there to try entrepreneurship. Secondly, it might not be the best driver, but if you want to make money, you can potentially consider that, although it might not be the best driver. I think I would suggest that the focus should be on the problem, and then if you do a good job, then you might earn some money or a lot of money. I guess a better motivation would be if you want to be a better person. Like as I mentioned about the learning that I had in the last 1 year, and all the things that I was able to gather and gain has made me a better person. And lastly, if you just want to learn new things by just going down, like you don't have to quit your 9 to 5 job, but if you just start sell something, you will learn something, and you will be able to it's like a snowball. So once you learn something, then you're gonna learn more things.
So someone who sees or experiences a burning problem, like probably every waking hours, someone who wants to make money, and someone who wants to get a better person, and someone who wants to learn new things. Okay, so in case there are aspiring or current entrepreneurs watching this right now, what are your suggestions to them?
Yeah, I think number one is planning and thinking about the different scenarios, the what if, and the unknowns. I guess it will be beneficial, even though you might not be able to see everything, cannot predict everything, but you can prepare for some things, especially the things that you know. For example, like how much money you have left, how much money that you will forego if you quit a job, things like the basic ones. And I think believe in yourself that you can do it. Of course, you should not jump in if you really are not ready. So you have to kind of assess also where you are. In my position last year, I felt like even though I always felt that I was not ready, but actually I think I was ready, then I jump in. Second one, I think it's very important to have a very good support system, because it is a very challenging situations. I think the one thing that you want to avoid is to be depressed because of the magnitude of the challenge of this journey. So having people who really care about you as a person, who can tell you when things are not looking good, being able to support you when you're down, and just basically go out and grab a cup of coffee once in a while. I think it's very good. Other suggestion is just do it. I think if you were like me, waiting for like that moment of like I'm ready or not ready, like just do it. If you wanna take 3 months, 1 month, I think is all things could be considered. I think just if you just start, I think you're gonna learn a lot, and you can always pause and then resume later. I guess the last one that I have is probably it's never too late to start, but the earlier it is, the better, because the younger you try, the more mistake you can make with less impact to the overall picture of your career. Yeah.
Awesome. So Kevin, what is next for you?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess my year is ending in June 2023, and as I mentioned, I am not there yet in terms of my research. So, however, I'm still very passionate. But given that I have committed, this is I think what I also mentioned, that we should make a plan. So and commit to the plan. I think I plan to dedicate 1 year from July to June. And now that I'm nearing the end of it, now I am gearing towards getting back to earning money. And at the same time, I am even more excited about the progress that I've made with my research. So I will continue to do it, and I will continue to volunteer, to expose myself and to surround myself with these kind people that I met who were also kind and selfless to help other people, to basically make the world better. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I was able to take this 1 year to do this, and I plan to summarize my learning from my research in the last 1 year, about particularly the problem that I wanted to solve, that is to bridge the gap between customer feedback and organizations. And I hope that one day I will come to a root cause or root causes of this problem, and I could build solutions for this that could help many people around the world. So I hope that what I'm doing in the last 1 year, I could create a world where one day, if you have any feedback when you are using any products or services, that you would not hesitate to share your feedback to the organization, and the organization will appreciate your feedback and take action, so that you will have a better experience the next time, and we could avoid significant negative consequences like people losing their lives by you contributing to providing your feedback. And I want to remove this situation where people are accepting, becoming accepting of the way things are, because it has not been changed in terms of no organizations are listening to their customers. So I hope that I can help to make an improvement in this area, and I will share my findings once I finish putting it together. So really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me this afternoon, and thank you again.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience, Kevin. This has been really great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.